back to my channel. Today's video is part 4 of how to block print on fabric at home. I'm so excited to share the final step of printing with you with your newly carved lino block. I will be printing a freehand placement in one color today. In the future, I will print more than one color and different placements that are measured so that you can see the different techniques. So stay tuned, we aren't quite done here yet. I will take you through my printing setup, the tools we'll use today, how to block print, how to clean up, and how to heat set your fabric. I'm really excited to have you here today. I hope you enjoy the video. We're going to start today by setting up our workspace. The first thing that I put down is a plastic tablecloth with a soft backing underneath it. This protects my table and also provides a little bit of resistance between the hard table surface and my fabric. You can also use quilter's cotton batting to provide resistance. I'm right-handed, so I keep all my tools and paint to my right-hand side of my table and my fabric to my left. You really can set it up either side, but the most important thing is that the two don't cross over. For example, you don't want to bring your fabric paint tub over to the dry side because it could fall over and accidents do happen. You also want to keep your hands as clean as possible. I have washed, dried and ironed my cotton fabric for today. I cut the size of the fabric to match what I intend to sew up with it in the future. I haven't just grabbed a huge piece of fabric to print it and then pop it in the cupboard. I have a plan. My fabric had a selvage which I cut off. The selvage tends to pull the fabric slightly, so removing it means that everything stays super flat. Remember to cut your fabric with a grain line so that you don't land up with a skew piece of fabric and in turn a skew print and in turn a skew product. Here I have my fabric paint. You may not find this exact brand where you live, and that's okay. Just pop online or to your local art shop and grab fabric paint or fabric ink that is available. I have chosen paint that is water soluble in order to have an easy cleanup process at the end and also because it dries quickly. In my paint tub, I have a plastic palette knife. Here is an old wet cloth to keep my hands clean while I'm printing. This is a piece of plexiglass as my inking plate and my sponge roller. My newly carved lino block. And finally, my barren and my brayer. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the barren. Here I have a small piece of fabric to my left for these test prints. I have chosen to print using black paint today, but you can also mix your own color. Just remember to mix enough of this color. If you're printing meters, it would be really sad to run out and then struggle to mix that exact color again. Start by applying a few blobs of paint at the top of your inking plate in a line roughly the same width as your roller. You want to coat your roller evenly with enough paint so that it's applying evenly to your block when you roll over it. So to do this, roll your roller near the paint and grab little bits at a time and let your sponge spin each time you lift it up. Coat your roller with a fair amount of paint, but don't go overboard. You'll get the hang of this. It came with practice for me. Also, something else to remember is that some people like to have very inky prints, while others will stay on the lesser end to avoid saturated areas when there's too much ink. It's an intuitive action. Roll the sponge roller over your lino block a few times, making sure that you cover the entire image with the paint being applied evenly. Pick up your lino block and place it on your fabric gently. You want the image to touch the fabric, all at the same time. Don't go one corner in or one side in at a time. It will create additional marks. Grab your baron or your brayer and push or roll over your block. If you're using a brayer, you can roll with your one hand and hold the block with your other if you want to. This ensures that your block doesn't move. Using a baron, the pressure comes down directly and your block can't shift. You will now be able to see any pieces of your image that weren't carved away. You can carve these away now. Try another test print to see if you are happy with the outcome. I placed my fabric on my table so that I can print on the bottom right hand corner first. Again, this is a preference of mine, and because my piece of fabric is small enough to fit on the table, I don't have to worry about moving it while I'm printing. I've also used pieces of masking tape on the corners to secure my fabric to the table so that it doesn't lift every time I lift up my block. Now we are ready to ink up and start printing our final piece of fabric. As I mentioned earlier, I am creating a random pattern today. I have no method here other than to just place the image with a space in between each one, and it doesn't need to be perfect. Each time I ink up my block, I make sure that I'm happy with the amount of ink being applied. When necessary, I will grab more paint from the tub and ink up my sponge roller again. I want to print to the edge of my fabric, but you can see I will go over the edge onto the table here. So I've grabbed my test print fabric and taped it in line with my fabric that I'm busy printing. Once I'm happy with the dimensions of fabric that I've printed, I'm going to let it air dry. If you have enough space on your table, you can let it dry flat, or you can hang it carefully on an indoor clothes drying rack. I'm also going to close my paint tub at this point and move to cleaning up. As soon as you're finished printing and you're happy that you don't want to print anything else in that color, then you need to clean up before the paint starts to dry. You can scrub your inking plate and palette knife with a sponge or an old toothbrush and some water. Place your sponge roller in a little bit of water and squeeze out the paint, and then you can rinse it under the tap to get the last bit out. You can use a sponge or a brush for your lino block, but make sure that it isn't too abrasive so that you don't weigh down your lino block. Let everything air dry thoroughly before you use it again. I left my fabric to dry overnight just to be safe, but it actually dries within a few hours of being printed. I have set up my iron and ironing board. My iron is set to cotton, which is one of the highest heat settings. You can turn your fabric over so that you're ironing on the wrong side. Move your iron over the back of the printed area 10 to 15 times. I count 1 as to the left and back again. This method makes me happy that I have covered my bases and that nothing will run when the fabric is washed. I would suggest that you read the instructions on the paint you chose to use. It may be a completely different method to this. Now your fabric is ready to be cut and sewn into something beautiful. I hope you've learned a lot from this 4-part series and enjoy using your new printing skills. After filming what I thought would be a 4-part series, I realized that there's more that I can show you, so I will be doing some more block printing videos in the future. If there is something that you want me to cover in particular, please pop me a comment below. Thanks so much for watching this series. I really appreciate the support. Cheers!